At this point, we can all accept the fact that the Chicago Bears has lost. We're no longer in the playoffs, but what a heck of a game. But now comes all the discord as to whether or not Ben was too aggressive, whether or not he should have went for two at certain points. And the comments by Rex Ryan really got me thinking. Should he have really gone for two in that moment, right after Caleb had thrown that bomb to tie the game? Let's talk about it. Listen, if you're new to the channel, it's your boy PK. This is the Windy City Breeze, talking all things Chicago sports. We have been on a tear, and it's all because of you all. It's all because of you all supporting us, so please continue to like, share, subscribe, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Y'all know how we move. We're trying to get to 100,000 subs before the Super Bowl. We know that's asking for a lot, but we know y'all got us. But let's get into the comments because Rex Ryan had some really interesting and really forward statements in regards to this. He gave Ben his flowers in one instance, and then he definitely tore him down in another one. He says, Ben's the most aggressive guy of all time. He went for it a million times in this game. Are you kidding me? Go win the darn thing. He made a mistake, and he'll regret not going for two for the rest of his life. A bit dramatic there, but I can see I can kind of get where he's coming from. At the same time, though, I don't know if he was watching the same game we were watching because I don't think Ben should have gone for two. Now, I get, hey, you have the momentum. The defense was on their heels. You just took the air out of that team. They have no idea what just hit them. But in a moment where I have to admit that I question Ben Johnson's decision not to go for the three, not to take the points when he needed them or when he had them, always being aggressive in those ways. Toward the end of those games, I actually saw a coach really see where his team was, really see what was actually working and what wasn't working. And let's be for real, what it boiled down to, the reason we lost even in overtime wasn't because of a bad play call, wasn't because, oh, he didn't do this with Caleb. He put the ball in his best player's hands, and his best player made a mistake. Whether that be DJ didn't run the right route or he threw it too early, he shouldn't have thrown it at all, that wasn't on Ben Johnson. That was on player execution. So when it comes down to this actual play, though, taking a step back to even get into overtime, going for two would have been disastrous because you had not had a good or clean operation within the 5 yards in the red zone all game. The Rams had really pretty much shown you that, hey, if you go for this, we're going to stop these short yardage plays. You better do something spectacular. Let's call a spade a spade. The only reason why that play worked was because it was a broken Superman-esque play that Caleb Williams had to make. The Rams had started to shut down that short game and were doing it pretty consistently. Yeah, we could move the ball down there to get to the red zone, but in that red zone in itself, their defense was standing up, and on the run, they were shutting us down multiple times. It was the right call. You live to fight another day. In this case, another day being you give your team an extra quarter to actually figure it out. You give them an extra opportunity to try to win this game, and that's what Ben Johnson did. He got aggressive early. He was playing with house money at that point because he felt like his defense could keep up, and they did. And when it was clear that his offense couldn't get it done in those key situations, those fourth and short situations or third and short situations, he made the right move as a head coach to say, hey, I'm not going to keep putting them in this situation. Let me go ahead, take the extra point, go ahead, get into overtime, and then let's figure out how to win the game from there. That's good coaching. Now, again, I know a lot of people are going to say, but if he took the points earlier, he wouldn't be in that situation. If it was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. We don't know that. We don't know that to be the case at all. Yeah, hindsight is always 20/20. Yeah, maybe he will be less aggressive in those moments. But if we converted in those moments, we'd be up by a handsome amount, and we wouldn't be having this conversation either. That's the part of taking a risk. Sometimes it doesn't work. But he didn't take the risk in the moments that ultimately cost us the game. Him not kicking those field goals didn't cost us the game. Him not going for two in that moment didn't cost us the game. What cost us the game is the mistakes that happened in overtime. Let's just keep it there. We lost in overtime, not because the Rams sat there and made some miraculous play or shut us down, but because we had a miscommunication with players on our team. We died on our own sword. That's what you want in any situation. I saw that press conference with Ben Johnson and even Caleb Williams. I think it was a Detroit game where Caleb said, "Do I want the ball in those moments? Yeah, but I trust my coach." Well, in this situation, Ben Johnson put the ball in his best player's hand, and we just came up short. And you know what? Considering the season that Caleb Williams has had, I can live with that. I think Ben Johnson can live with that. But I know that they both realized that this game showed a lot of errors. It was a lot of mistakes from an accuracy perspective, from a communication standpoint, from an execution standpoint on the offensive end, which was, we all thought the defense was going to get moonwalked. This showed you that, hey, we have a lot to work with, a lot to build upon, but there's a lot of mistakes we got to clear up. And that's really what this season was for us. This season was finding out what we have, figuring out how far it can take us. Once we figure that part out, cleaning up some things, getting on the same page on a consistent basis, and then having a clean operation from there. And they did all of that. They figured out what they have. We saw our secondary from the defensive perspective. I think that's the best I've ever seen them play all season. All season. And they didn't get a pick. But they were able to shut down two of the best receivers in the game. And it wasn't even a conversation. It wasn't even a conversation. They held them. And you could say the weather played a factor, and I'm sure it did. But it didn't play that much of a factor that those guys couldn't catch the ball, that those guys didn't get separation. We saw our team, our defense step up toward the end of the season. They gave us a lot to be hopeful for. We saw Caleb Williams put the cape on his back, and we saw a coach who actually saw the skill set his quarterback has and give him the reins to actually do that. And he holds him accountable when he fails. And guess what? That's all we can expect moving forward. Ben Johnson is going to hold himself, Caleb, and Caleb's going to hold himself accountable for how he showed up. But the decision-making not to go for two is not the question. That was the best. In fact, I think that was the most appropriate call of all the calls he made in the game. And I think Ben Johnson took a lot of chances. But I can't sit there and say that he's going to regret not going for two. Because I will say that if he went for two and it failed, everyone would be sitting there calling for his head, because they'll sit there and say, why did you go for two? And you saw all those situations in which you see it clearly wasn't working. We clearly didn't have it right there. It was the right call. We lost. It is what it is. But there's nothing for Ben Johnson to sit there and say, keep him up at night and regret for the rest of his life. No. Ben Johnson had a great season. Rookie head coach. First head coach in Bears history to win a playoff game in his season debut. Yet Ditka didn't do it. Ben Johnson did. Got Caleb to be a single season passing leader all time for the Chicago Bears. Literally less than 60 yards shy of a 4,000-yard QB, which would be the Bears' first. Nearly got Caleb to 30 touchdowns, 30 passing touchdowns. He called his shot most of the season. Said he'd beat being LaFleur twice a year. Beat him twice this year. Heck of a season. Nothing to hold his head, nothing to hang his head over. Hold your head high. Let's get ready for the next season. He's given us nothing but a reason to cheer for this team. He's totally changed the culture in that locker room for that organization and across the city. The city feels different. No, Rex Ryan, I don't agree with it. He's not going to regret that. And I stand by the fact that he shouldn't have went for it. Right? Made the right move. We lost it on a turnover from our quarterback in overtime. And I'm not even blaming Caleb for it or whatever. It happened. It happened. Second-year QB, first time in the playoffs like that. I get it. Made the improbable pass for us to get there. I'm not going to sit there and kill Caleb for that. I'm not. He's been Superman all season. It's okay if he didn't pull it out today. But I look forward to the rest of the season with nothing but pure excitement. Barring health, I see no reason why we can't replicate what we've done this year. from an even stronger position, meaning that we're not sitting there waiting on Hail Marys in magic in late games scenarios for Caleb to sit there and have these miraculous plays. I expect this operation to look totally different. And knowing that seeing how Ben Johnson runs his ship, you should expect the same. We're okay. We're going to get there. We're going to get a Super Bowl soon. I have no doubt about that. And you should feel the same, man. Listen, whether you agree with me or not, put it in the chat. I want to hear whether you think he should have went for it, whether he should have kicked the field goals, whatever it was. Give it, sound off in the chat. I'll be in there with you. Till next time, better. Peace.